it was brought to my attention from Mayor Berry's blog about there was a concerned long-term citizen in the village of Oak Lawn that mentioned Oak Lawn Lake and the condition of Oak Lawn Lake. And for those of you who don't know where Oak Lawn Lake is, it's off of 95th and East Shore Drive and West Shore Drive in Trustee Streight's district. And I know that the Oak Lawn Lake has been a concern for many years. I know that there's been many improvements that have been tried to work with it, and some of them have worked, some of them have failed. But in taking a look at what the residents said, I took a walk out there and spent some time looking around Oak Lawn Lake, and I too agree that we as a village should do something to improve Oak Lawn Lake. I know that in talking to our village manager, Oak Lawn Lake is under the power of Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Army Corps of Engineers, the Park District, and the Village of Oak Lawn. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring it up to the Public Works Committee to move forward and setting up meetings to see what we can do to beautify Oak Lawn Lake and put some money into that area. And Mayor, I know that you and I have had a couple of conversations about it. I think one of your ideas, if you'd like to share it with the residents, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I was going to bring it in my report, but I could talk about it now. I've tentatively set kind of a meeting date for May 17th, 2016. That's a Tuesday evening. It's not a board night. But, just to talk with residents about what their issues are and maybe suggestions for the area, to look at such an incredible asset and to see how we're utilizing it. And it's very well utilized, but I think we could really kick it up a notch. For example, there's great resources with the Park District. They have buildings there. It'd be very, very neat to have either a food truck or some kind of vendor, have evening events there. There's a lot more we could do. So, there's no point in moving forward till you hear from residents, and so that's kind of what I was planning, Trustee Olejniczak.
I know,
tentatively.
I know one of the things that I would like to do, I remember as a kid going out there with my fishing rod and catching some fish out of there, and I don't know with the silt buildup that's in there, and that's where we'd have to work with the Army Corps of Engineers, but I know that it hasn't been dredged in, I don't know, Trustee Streit, do you remember the last time that was dredged?
It would be probably 15 years ago or more.
Yeah, 15 years ago or more, and from what I understand, the fish really can't live in that type of environment, and that's a shame, because they used to be a fun afternoon just going out there with some worms and some fishing rod and spending a nice day out there, and I think that would be a great goal to continue. Trustee Carberry's laughing. It wasn't like Opie Taylor, but it was a nice thing to do, to be able to spend some time at the lake, and it truly is a jewel of Oak Lawn that has been neglected for a period of time, and I think we need to re-examine it and move forward and do something positive for that.
Yeah, great idea with the Public Works. I look forward to seeing what can be done, but it can also be, just simple, like a neighborhood kind of watch thing. If there's issues going on, ask the neighbors to call in. There's things we could do without incurring costs that'll really enhance it as well. So I want to look at those things too. So.
And then I just want to compliment the property maintenance group. This year has been a great year. They've really gotten off to a good start at making sure that typically in the springtime we have residents that either adhere to our ordinances or don't. And we've seen that some of the properties that have been repeat offenders are getting quicker action. I know that there's a list that Jeannie Galzin in the Public Works has already generated, notifying the different property owners of their responsibilities, and we look forward to getting quicker action, because I know in some of the neighborhoods, some of the properties, especially some of the rental properties, have been an issue, and we're continuing to work on that. But we want to make sure that we continue the full court press on it. We just want people to maintain their property. So that concludes my report.
Okay, District 3, Trustee Streit, what's new?
Thank you, thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank both Trustee Olejniczak and Mayor Berry for your comments about putting some focus on addressing issues at Oak Lawn Lake. I read that letter that Trustee Olejniczak referred to, and I spoke with that resident. I also spoke with other residents who have been complaining really about the vandalism at Oak Lawn Lake more than anything. It's really unfortunate that the village did put, back in when it was dredged the last time, we put $4.5 million into that, I believe. It's about 4.1, something like that. It was over 4. And a lot of that money was spent on the paving, the pavers, and the stabilization, a bank stabilization for erosion. And what happens is unfortunately, a lot of those pavers have been picked up and hurled into the lake. And in fact, on Saturday, I was driving down West Shore Drive, and I saw a group of folks on one of the verandas, and one of the fellows had one of the pavers. He was just about to hurl it into the lake, and I stopped. I was ready to snap a picture, and he saw me, and he set the block down. But I don't think that maybe people necessarily realize how damaging that is to the lake infrastructure itself. And I contacted Steve Barrett, the Director of Public Works, and while Trustee Olenichek is correct, there's a lot of people that have responsibility for Oak Lawn Lake. The Village of Oak Lawn actually has responsibility for the maintenance, and Steve talked about how he was going to utilize some of the sewer funds that we have, the sewer tax for making improvements to Oak Lawn Lake. So hopefully, some of the issues, by the way, that's a big one. That's a huge one, is just not throwing the pavers into the lake. That's a real problem. But there are other issues that were mentioned in the letter, like, shopping carts and Christmas trees that are tossed in there. So it's really unfortunate. So I also sent an email to Chief Murray, and I had asked if we could increase patrols around Oak Lawn Lake so that we could deter some of that vandalism, and he did send me a response, which I'd like to just mention, that he did say, please encourage those that you speak to contact us when they see suspicious behavior or conditions. And he was referring to increasing patrols around all the parks, which certainly does have to be done, and that's a message to all of us, that when you do see something, you do have to make that call. So again, I appreciate all of the concern. It is that time of year, even though it doesn't feel like spring or summer yet, it will be here soon. We'll be out in the parks enjoying them, and it would be nice if we can enjoy the beauty of them and preserve that. Just simple things like, not damaging the property that we have, that we cherish so much. And just one other point that I want to make, Trustee Olenichek talked about the fishing in the lake, and that was something that, in fact, it was your predecessor who had proposed that we stock Oak Lawn Lake many years ago. And they did stock it with fish. They had that catch and release program. And unfortunately, what happens with Oak Lawn Lake, it really is it's kind of like a storm water system. It's part of our stormwater sewer system. And so when there's a lot of rain, water comes through there very quickly, and a lot of those fish get washed downstream. But what would be really nice on Oak Lawn Lake, and that would be good, that would be great, but what would be really nice is if back many decades ago, there was a warming house, and the kids would skate on Oak Lawn Lake. That lake was plowed, and it was used for ice skating in the winter. And I'd really love to see that come back. Now what happens if you skate on the lake, you're probably going to be told to get off the lake. So, but it's a great recreational area. It's a jewel in the village, and I'm very grateful for the attention that everybody is put on it. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thanks. Yeah, Chief has informed me that they have done over 50 spot checks already since the complaints have started, and the police on the bicycles are going through. But, we could have a police officer in every corner in our village, but unless people call 911 when they see things, even if something seems amiss, never hesitate, and I implore all residents to please be the eyes and ears for our police officers at Oak Lawn Lake or anywhere around the village, and our police officers are highly responsive, and Thank you.